Listen closely, vintage gamers. I have a story to tell you about the patchwork automaton that could. I have a fun match here versus Frowning Table for one of the LCQs with a aggro shop deck that I will stream, but it has some anti-mono white cards in it, like Shadow Spear, and it has just a really fun match. So I wanted to show you. So let's go. I keep this hand, not always an advisable hand to keep because I don't have any lock pieces, but I know my opponent is typically on a Bazaar deck, and I actually have found Patchwork Automaton to be one of the single best cards against Bazaar, getting up really quickly and becoming a serious threat. So this idea of maybe Shadow Sphering a Patchwork Automaton and Walking Ballista backup seems like could get the job done. So let's give it a shot. We sequence with the Patchwork Automaton first. Obviously, we want to get the counters on the Patchwork Automaton, but also because it's kind of a it's hard for them to cast a counter spell on that when I could be playing something like a Trinisphere afterwards. So we play our Automaton, and then we grow our Automaton here with all of our artifacts. I don't care too much about getting my mana Force of Vigored, and I actually don't cast the Walking Ballista this turn, and the reason is because I want to just make it as big as possible. So I was interested to see if this Shadow Spear resolved. Obviously, they could have Force of Negation, Mindbreak Trap, all of those things here, but I also am still threatening last card Trinisphere or last card Sphere. So the Shadow Sphere does resolve, and I have a 5/5 Automaton ready to be trampling and lifelinking. My opponent, Bazaar, of course, but actually ends up not on the normal Bazaar deck for them. They end up with a Dredge deck. So we have a couple Dredgers and a Hollow one. We go back to my turn. What am I going to draw here? I'd love to draw a Wasteland, obviously, but not that lucky in this game. And I'm kind of happy for it because if I did draw a Wasteland that game, that would have made this game a lot less interesting. What I do draw is a Trinisphere, which is also quite good, and it's going to lock them out of playing any spells for the rest of the game. So I slam a Trinisphere. It resolves, and they will not be casting spells for the rest of the game. The good news for them is the Dredge deck doesn't have to cast any more spells for the rest of this game to continue playing. The good news for me is I have a 7/7 lifelink Trampler. So I get in there, and suddenly 27-13, some Dredges happen. Currently nothing going on with these Dredges. There are a couple prized amalgams and an Icarid, though. Something we need to be aware of is if they dredge here for 5 on their draw step and they hit an Archamoeba, all the prize amalgams are coming back. They miss. That's probably very key for this game. However, they don't really miss because they have a second Bazaar of Baghdad in hand. So another 10 dredges and an Archamoeba is here. So my opponent is going to deploy the zombie army. And I, at this point, think it's probably unlikely the patchworky boy here is going to get there. But we have to play it out. We have to see what happens. Hollow one comes in, and I go to 23, and then all of the zombies come. All of the zombies. I draw a sphere, but I don't really want a sphere at this point. What I want is a large Walking Ballista. The Walking Ballista here is pretty interesting, as I can, make it very hard for them to block. I could always, shoot a couple things that matter. I can really disrupt attacking plans with their Icarids, and there's just a lot of complications that this Walking Ballista presents. So we've got a big Walking Ballista coming. Should be like a 4/4 or something really large. Yeah, 4/4 Ballista, 8/8 Patchwork. Patchwork is going to get in there and put them pretty low and put us really high. But I'm still not quite sure that this is going to get there. My opponent does decide to throw 2 Narcomoebas in front of the Patchwork to save 2 life. I'm not sure if that will end up being a good or a bad decision. So, with the 2 Icarids on the stack, the Bazaar is activated. Another thing to note in this game is my opponent needs high velocity, lots of creeping chills to survive here, or to pressure my life total. So they're going to try to dredge through their library fast, and this could be something that comes up later. With 2 Bazaars and a full graveyard, it's very easy to dredge through your library. So a couple dredges happen. My opponent is now down to 10 cards. My opponent is now down to 5 cards in library. Multiple creeping chills are going on the stack. That should help stabilize my opponent's life total. And let's see what the aftermath of this looks like. The aftermath of this looks like my opponent is at 13 life. They've got 3 prized amalgams, 2 Icarids coming in, a hollow one, a Narcomoeba, and more prized amalgams coming at the end of turn. Probably not Silver Smoke Ghouls as well are coming at the end of turn, as my opponent has now actually hit their first Creeping Chill, which is another relevant point to this game. All right, so everybody is here. Now my opponent needs to determine what the correct attack is. And I don't know what the correct attack is. I'm the blocker here. They have to figure out if they're going to attack with and what they're going to attack with. Icarids obviously come in because they die, but how much does my opponent want to leave back here? I don't know, because it's really tough, because if they leave back too little things, they won't be able to race. But if they leave back too much things, then they might just draw out. They only have 4 cards in library now after their draw step. So here they come with the team. The Walking Ballista being a 4/4 is really nice here, as I can block a Prized Amalgam and not actually take any damage from it. So I block a Prized Amalgam, I take 10 and go to 15. All right, end of turn. A bunch of zombies are coming in and a bunch of zombies are leaving. And things are dicey. But at this point, I'm thinking, I have 2 win conditions. I can attack for lethal, or maybe I can get my opponent to draw out. The problem is, they just have so many attackers that I think sitting and waiting here might not work. And now I'm under no impression that either side of the table here plays this game perfectly. It's kind of a very unique scenario. I wanted to do a video on this game because it's just really weird. It's one big patchwork automaton with a shadow sphere versus an army of zombies. All right, so I have a 9/9 life-linking patchwork automaton here, and I decide to go in. My opponent is at 13, so they have to block with something, as I have Walking Ballista here. And their choice is, let's see, they do have a Prized Amalgam coming back at the end step, because this Prized Amalgam came back on my last end step, so they can block with some amount of Prized Amalgams here, and they decided to block with 1 Prized Amalgam. If I were to shoot this Prized Amalgam, it doesn't really matter, because this is all trampling damage anyway, so I currently can only deal 13 minus 3, 10 damage. So obviously I let this happen, I gain my 9, I go to 23, and then instead of upticking my blocking ballista or something like that, I move my Shadow Sphere over to my Walking Ballista. Now, this is pretty crazy because I have a big Walking Ballista. I can get lifelink off of my Ballista just from blocking, and I can also shoot things and kill them and gain lifelink from them. So, lots of defensive options here, as my opponent has 4 Icarids and 4 cards in library. Let's see what happens. All right. So my opponent has a casual 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 28, 32 power in play. And I have a 5/5 life-linking trample. How much power did I say? Did I say 32? 33? God, I forgot already. 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 28, 32. If I were to block this hollow one with my 5/5 lifelinker, it's only 28 damage, and then I would gain 5 life, so I would actually go to 0. If I were to block this hollow one with my lifelinker and shoot the Silver Smoke Ghoul and trade, I would only take, I'm surviving, is what I should say. If I were to block this hollow one and then shoot 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, that's 12 less damage plus 4 more life. So basically what I'm trying to say is my opponent does not have a lethal attack here. My opponent draws for turn and then decides that their combat step is going to be at least all the Icarids, I would assume. But I'm under, I'm not enviable of my opponent's situation here. Makes kind of sense to attack with the 3/1s, as they're not that great in combat against the trampling menace. Let's see what my opponent does. Here's a hollow one. Maybe not. Here's a Prized Amalgam. Okay, so Prized Amalgam is coming in, and 6 3/1s are coming in. Here, I know that this is not lethal damage, so I actually can just block. I decided to block the Silver Smoke Ghoul because I know it won't be coming back, whereas the Prized Amalgam may come back. I think that's what I chose to do. And I just decide to take the rest and gain all of my lifelink. If I was super concerned about my life there, I could even shoot the other Silver Smoke Ghoul. Okay. So now I'm here with a huge Walking Ballista and a huge Shadow Spearing Patchwork Automaton, and my opponent does have a lot of blocking toughness. They have 4 from the hollow one, totaling 11 blocking toughness. I play my Foundry Inspector out. Got to make use of my Mishra's Workshop here. Come on, Magic Online. Okay. Whew, whew. All right, I move my Shadow Spear over to my Automaton and go for the lethal attack. My opponent doesn't really have great blocks here. Even if they block with all of the creatures, they won't even kill the Patchwork Automaton because I do have a Walking Ballista. I do have... My opponent decides to go for 8, so I'm going to trample over for 2, which leaves me out of kill range. But their whole board is dead, and I gained another 10 life. And what I'm going to do is move my Shadow Spear back onto my Walking Ballista here and pass the turn. Now I have 2 blockers. My opponent is at 5. Things are still crazy. We have 4 Icarids still coming back into play. How close is this attack? Survey says probably not close. My opponent knows they have a Creeping Chill in their last 3 cards, and this is probably their last attempt. So on their last turn, they do their final dredge, get a Narcomoeba and a Creeping Chill, go back up to 8 and put me to 14 and make an attack. This attack now is for 24 damage, but I have the life-linking Walking Ballista. So all of these units come in, and I go for block, and then before damage, ping the 3-1, gain a life. Ping the 3-1, gain a life. Ping the 3-1, gain a life. Ping the 3-1, and gain a life. Means I only take barely any damage. Some of these things come back into play, but not enough things to block the large trampling Patchwork Automaton for lethal, or my opponent deck it. And that is how the one Patchwork Automaton was able to defeat the army of zombies. I hope you enjoyed this video. I thought it was a really fun game. If you like videos like this, let me know in the comments below. And if not, don't worry, more gameplay content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on this YouTube channel. I will see you then.